All right, welcome back. Let's get Prakash Diwan in. He's joining us now to take some questions on market fundamentals. Prakash, great to have you with us here. Thank you very much for your time. Uh, just a quick word as we start another week, new week. How are things set up? 100 points away on the Nifty from a new high, although the start is lower. What's the broad approach? What should be the broad approach?
Good morning, Prashant. So I think, the Nifty is very clearly showing its characteristic hesitation, which typically happens when you are closer to highs or at the highs, right? And given the fact that there's a huge element of shorts, and this time from domestic institutional players, there could be a bit of short covering that could still see Nifty inch up. And I'm quite confident all-time highs are definitely going to be crossed and new ones made. The essential part is when do the broader markets participate in this upswing? That's the key element. Now we are looking at very divergent news flow from China and Hong Kong and stuff like that. I mean, Hong Kong shows signs of bottoming out, whereas China seems like getting into a little bit of a messier situation. But then it's a black box, so I wouldn't really put too much of weightage on what's expected out of China. What's working for us is lower crude, probably a peaking out of inflation or a sense of that. We're closer to it than before. So all those things will work. But mind you, we are at fairly decent valuations at a stage. So the market could see a little bit of a last hurrah before it starts rationalizing itself, consolidating itself. My guess is December will probably be a little bit of a celebratory kind of a month. And then you'll probably see the corrections happen. So the setup is very clear. Cash out of what you don't like in your portfolio and wait for a couple of months to get into what you actually like. So that's especially for small caps and mid caps. That's my anticipation. But otherwise, I think it looks like any other market: low volumes, closer to highs, December end. All of those typical things that kind of bring a little bit of a lull into the market.
Prakash, Paytm, RBI has now barred Paytm from signing on new or onboarding new merchant clients. Is that a big blow to, at least the sentiment and the stock price from here on? The company says there is not going to be a big business impact, but a new business gets affected, right? How would you read this development?
Good morning, Rima. So I don't think you could say that this does not impact the business. In fact, there are so many of these optionalities built into Paytm's business model that we said, there would be some sort of revenue streams occurring from other things apart from their mainstay money transfer business. But the ability to acquire new clients and start getting into a stage where you figure out how to monetize that, I mean, you're still far away from that. So that's a big problem with Paytm. It hasn't been able to re-engineer its business model rather than go by the metrics. I mean, I don't see that visibility even right now. So and that's exactly what the point everybody was making at the time of the IPO. I mean, some of us were making, if not all, that there was lots of lacuna in terms of what is it that they're going to make money on, right? So that's still kind of a little bit of a question that's not, and this RBI thing only kind of defers any ability to monetize things, right? To do that. So this resubmission of application, it's a process that's going to get into a reset and could take much longer, and that's painful because people will probably start seeing better opportunities even at current levels to move out, book profits, book losses, and move into something more promising.
Hi Prakash, morning. Prakash, some of those Asian markets that have opened up, they're under pressure, but the big story really from an India perspective is Brent crude prices are lower. And there'll be some beneficiaries out there, right? How do you play this? Because it seems that periodically we're seeing a bit of a bounce on crude, but it continues to head lower. OPEC meet coming up next week, though. Any kind of stock that you look at as a key beneficiary out of this?
A good one, Nigel. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think the downward trend in crude is going to benefit so many of our sectors directly or indirectly. But one of the key areas that it has a very direct correlation is aviation. And this is a pocket that very few people want to tread, right? I mean, it's something where the faint-hearted can't take that volatility and the kind of news flow that comes around. And you don't have much of space in terms of the listed entities at this point in time. And we've spoken about this. I remember Rima asking me about how the consolidation within the Tata Flyers, flying companies will kind of impact the sector. And my sense is that that process is definitely underway, but it will still take almost like a year for them to get their act together in terms of making it commercially differentiated. And that's the time where Indigo is probably going to march ahead, eating into market shares, eating into some very profitable routes. And this recent tie-up with the Turkish Airlines is something which gives them access to so many new destinations that the learning curve is going to be much faster. And mind you, they've also got, finally, they're looking at getting Boeings into the fleet, which is a very good de-risking of sorts from the Airbus dependence. So I think if you look at crude benefits and, of course, the way things are looking up, the fares are looking up, I think Indigo will be a very key beneficiary if crude stays where it is or probably tends to be lower. And it has some ground to cover, at least till 23, 2400 from where it is right now.